If you have an Android phone, you really need to listen up. Google has just put out a critical security warning about attacks that are happening right now. But here's the catch. The fix isn't coming for a massive number of users. Let's get right into what this means for you. We are not talking about a small issue here. We're talking about 1 billion Android phones. That's a billion devices with known security holes that will not be getting a patch. Not now, not ever. These phones have reached the end of their support life, which leaves them totally and permanently vulnerable. And this chart, wow, it really puts that number into perspective. Over 30% of all Android phones out there right now are running outdated software. We're talking Android 12 or older. If your phone falls into that 30% slice, well, it's one of that vulnerable billion. So, what exactly are these dangers? This isn't just a bunch of technical mumbo-jumbo. These vulnerabilities have very real consequences for your privacy and, honestly, for the security of your entire phone. Let's break down what's at stake. Okay, so the first flaw is something called an information disclosure vulnerability. The best way to think about it is like a tiny crack in your digital wall. An attacker, maybe using a malicious app you downloaded, can peek right through that crack and see data that's supposed to be private. Then they can use that info to get past your other security measures. Now, this second one, it's even more serious. It's called an elevation of privilege flaw. This is basically the digital version of a thief getting their hands on the master key to your entire apartment building. A bad app can use this flaw to break out of its sandbox and get powerful system-level control over your phone. It's really bad news. Look, this whole situation is a perfect example of why staying informed is just so important. To stay on top of critical security news like this, please take a quick moment to subscribe and like our channel. It's honestly the best way to make sure you don't miss these essential explainers. Now, Google did say that these attacks are pretty limited and targeted for now. But, and this is a big but, security experts are ringing the alarm bells. As James Maude from Beyond Trust points out, exploits like these don't stay secret for long. They very quickly become a standard part of the toolkit for all kinds of cybercriminals. This all leads to the big question, right? Is your phone at risk? Well, the answer really depends on the messy, fragmented nature of the Android world, which unfortunately creates some pretty clear winners and losers when it comes to security. So here's the bottom line. If your phone is running Android 12, 11, or anything older than that, you are absolutely at risk and you will not be getting a fix. But here's a super important detail. Even if you have a newer phone, you might not be safe just yet. You could still be vulnerable while you're waiting for your phone's manufacturer to finally push out the patch, and that can sometimes take a while. This chart right here really shows the huge difference between the Android and Apple worlds. With Android, updates are all over the place. They go from Google to Samsung or another manufacturer who then sends them to you. This creates delays and leaves over 30% of people totally unsupported. With Apple, it's all centralized. An update goes out to pretty much everyone all at once. That's why about 90% of iPhones are on a supported operating system. Okay, so that's the problem, and it's a big one. But let's talk about what you can actually do. There are some concrete steps and things you can try right now to check where you stand and beef up your phone's security, especially if you have a newer model. All right, first things first, let's figure out where you're at. It's actually really easy. Just open up your phone's settings app, scroll down to About Phone, and then look for Android version. If you see the number 12 or anything lower, you now know for sure that your device is no longer getting these critical security patches. But hey, if you do have a newer phone, one running Android 13 or higher, there's something that ZDNet actually calls your phone's most powerful security feature. But here's the thing, it's often tucked away in the settings and isn't even turned on by default. So let's turn it on. If you've got a supported device, go back into your settings, then find Security and Privacy. Inside there, you should see an option for Advanced Protection Mode. Go ahead and switch that on. This is probably one of the biggest things you can do to improve your security. So what does this mode do? Well, it's a huge security upgrade. It really tightens the hatches against all sorts of threats. It heavily restricts installing apps from unknown places, a thing called sideloading. And by doing that, it basically makes your phone behave a lot more like an iPhone when it comes to security. It really helps narrow that gap we just talked about. Now, taking these individual steps is super important. But this whole mess kind of forces us to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. I mean, when you have a system that leaves a billion users exposed forever, it starts to raise some pretty fundamental questions, don't you think? This quote from Security Boulevard just nails it. It's a familiar but uncomfortable pattern.
We find out about these dangerous flaws, we write them down, but they just continue to exist on millions and millions of devices, all because the update system can't or won't reach them. In a world where cyber threats are just getting smarter and more aggressive, a model that basically says it's okay to leave 30% of your users unprotected, well, it's just not going to work long term. This really points to the need for a total rethink of how we handle long-term security in the phone industry. And that really leaves us with this final question. When the number of abandoned, vulnerable devices hits 1 billion, isn't it time for manufacturers to offer a new kind of security promise? One that doesn't just evaporate the second your phone is considered a little bit old? It's a question that really affects all of us.